Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Healthy X Sundays podcast, where we bring you the most critical and actionable content in the nutrition and fitness space. Dave from Mind Muscle Pro and I, Kunal Jain, also known as Veg Diet Coach, are your hosts. Get ready to rock out and dig in with Sahil Makhija, a multi talented force in the worlds of heavy metal and cuisine. Sahil is the frontman of the iconic Indian metal band Demonic Resurrection and the creator of Headbanger's Kitchen, a widely popular heavy metal cooking show that blends his love for headbanging tunes with mouth watering recipes. Sahil's culinary adventure began at the age of 12, and in 2011, he launched Headbanger's Kitchen as a way to share his passion for food with a heavy metal twist. With over 500 recipes under his belt, ranging from hearty keto dishes to international favorites, Sahil has carved out a unique niche, growing a dedicated global fan base. On stage, he's a powerhouse vocalist and guitarist, leading Demonic Resurrection, a band that has been at the forefront of India's metal scene for over 2 decades. Off stage, he's a creative culinary innovator, inspiring foodies and metalheads alike. Join us as we chat with Sahil about his dual life as a metal musician and chef, and rise of Headbanger's Kitchen, and how he continues to rock both the music and food worlds. So, welcome Sahil to the Healthy X Sundays podcast, and thanks for making time. You're on mute.
Okay. Oh, hi. Thank you for that wonderful intro and sorry for being a little technologically challenged. This
No
can definitely be a story where I did not know how to unmute myself in a Zoom podcast recording. So,
No worries. So let's kick off with your personal culinary journey. You started cooking at 12. What inspired you to step into the kitchen at such a young age?
I think I was just a very fussy child. I liked food since a young age. I think my family has been very food centric always. And I think that's true for a lot of people as well, families that love to eat together, talk about food all the time, have every occasion revolve around where we're going to eat dinner or lunch, or what are you going to eat for lunch, what are you going to eat for dinner, what do you want to eat. So I think food was just a very big part of my family's bonding, and I just was a fussy eater, so I wanted to make my own food. I didn't like to depend on anyone to cook my food for me, so I think that's just kind of something that made me step into the kitchen and start cooking.
Right. So, what made Headbanger's Kitchen at least popular among the health sector is your focus on keto recipes. And I believe you were on a keto diet. Tell us more about that. Like, what was were you in a health crisis that you led to keto?
Right. No, so I think because I've always been a big foodie ever since I was young, I was constantly eating, I guess. And some people just have a sort of tendency to put on weight easier than others do. So I used to eat a lot of good food, and I sort of was always a chubby kid. Like even my dad, when he was growing up, he was chubby, and I just kind of, I guess, got some of his genetics, and I spent most of my life being kind of overweight, not obese or anything, but I was always slightly heavier than I should have been. So for me, there was always this sort of uh, trying to balance my love for good food and be healthier and fitter, even at a young age. Because at least my parents were always like, you need to lose some weight, you need to be a healthy weight, which has always been sort of something in my mind. And I've always had then, like tried different diets over the years, the General Motors diet, tried going to the gym, go for walks on the beach. And my general sort of um, issues with weight are kind of what led me to the keto diet eventually. So I actually, I think somewhere around 2010 or so, had reached my heaviest weight ever. I think this is the time that YouTube had just come into India, 2008, 2009, and I was watching a lot of cooking videos, you know. So I was seeing all these American barbecue shows, and I was seeing this show called Epic Meal Time, where they would put all these insane sort of foods together. They would put like a pigeon in a chicken, in a duck, in a goose, in a turkey, in a pig, and then they would roast the pig covered in bacon, and then they would all just eat it. And I experimented a lot with cooking and bacon, and I was just generally eating a lot more food. And because I was not a very active person, like I did not like exercise much, I would mostly focus on my music. I would just play guitar, play drums. So I never really had an exercise program, so to speak. I had sort of on and off with the gym and going for walks on the beach and things like that, but I was never really into exercising. So at that point, at 2010, I kind of just was eating a lot, and I ballooned up to like 84 kilos, which is quite a bit for someone who's as short as me. And then I was like, okay, I got to do something here. So that's kind of when my real weight loss journey happened. I started calorie counting and watching what I ate. And there was a calorie counting app. I think it was Calorie Count. I've forgotten the name. It was a website actually. You had to enter what you ate and all, and you would get grades. Oh, if you eat fruits, you get A plus. If you're eating like a McDonald's burger, you get like a C minus or something. So I got really into that, and like over the course of 3 or 4 years, I actually lost like 12 kilos, and I came down to like a reasonable weight. And then, of course, with most sort of programs that people have, there's like a period where they're really into it, and then some point they're like, ah, I can like breathe now. And that's when I started to let go a little bit. Like again, then the sort of focus on what I'm eating went away. I must have been playing shows with my band, also touring the UK here and there, getting to eat a lot of food that I don't normally do. So I started to put on a little bit of weight, and then at some point I reached around like 76 kilos. And at this time is when my keto journey sort of began, because I was like, okay, listen, I don't want to go back to that 84 kilos. So I can take some measures now only at 76 kilos, so that I don't go too far down the path of having to again try and lose 10, 12 kilos. So let's sort of try this keto diet because it seemed like the ideal diet for me. So I got introduced to keto through a bandmate of mine, Aditya Kadam. And again, my knowledge of nutrition and all was limited. Like most people, don't have all the answers, or they're not into fitness and nutrition. And my dad and my brother both at this time were also like fitness trainers. So there was some fitness in the family. But again, I never like it's one of those things you don't want to take your family members' advice. You want to like find out on your own or whatever. So my friend was doing this keto diet, and I was like, dude, you're going to get a heart attack and die. You're just like eating butter and meat and cheese. And again, he must have been doing some whatever he could manage at that point. Like even the nuances of keto are still sort of today being discovered. People are constantly evolving their version of the keto diet. So anyway, he lost like some 30, 40 kilos on the keto diet. And my wife, who also hates exercising, saw that. So she went and she did all the research, read up online about what is keto, how does it work, all that. I told her, listen, even you're going to get a heart attack. And she lost 12 kilos in 3 months. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I am wrong and I should try the keto diet. And that's where the whole keto journey started. This was probably, I think, 2015 or 2016, somewhere around that time.
So that's when you started experimenting with recipes as well.
Yes, so since I was on the diet, I was looking at like I was making uh, keto pizza with cauliflower. I was like, this is too good to not upload and like make a video about. Like, who makes pizza out of cauliflower? So yeah, so
Mhm.
while I started the keto journey, I started uploading these recipe videos as well.
Right. And one of your popular videos is where you say that you quit keto, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, for those of you not watched that video, could you just briefly tell us what happened? I know it's boring, but yeah.
No, no, it's fine. So, I think with health and nutrition, it's such a vast sort of space to be in, and also it is something that's ever changing, ever evolving. For me, keto was just something I tried along the way. And as I did that, so like even when I actually started making the keto videos, I did keto for 3 months. I lost my like 12 kilos. And then I went vegan for 2 weeks. And then I started making normal recipe videos. But because those old videos, the 3 months of keto that I did, those started to get views. My channel subscribers went up, my earning went up, everything was happening. I was like, okay, people are writing, can you make more keto videos? Can you make more keto videos? And as with anything, like any diet, you sort of lose some weight. Then if you stop the diet, you start gaining it back. So I was like, okay, now I'll start keto again, and basically it was on and off and on and off for me over the next few years. So like I think 2015 December is when I started. By 2019, I from a diet perspective, I realized that keto was not working for me simply because what was happening was that I love good food. Now, as much as any food lover tries to diet, if you're one of those people who lives to eat, no diet is going to be a long-term thing for you. If you're somebody who's like, I don't really care about food, I just want to be, the most efficient bio-hacked version of myself or whatever, then food is not something that you really care. You eat for functionality. So you can stick to diets much longer. You're okay with that. But for me, what was happening is because I was depriving myself of carbs all the time, and I love bread, I love rice, I enjoy my food. So every time I would stop keto, like if even one thing happened, you go for a wedding, so you ate one piece of roti, and then you're like, "Arey, chal na." So now abhi itna khaya hai, so I'm going to eat more. And then I would end up binging way more than I would normally eat. So like my wife would make a sourdough loaf and I'd eat like three-fourth of the loaf in a day, which is crazy. Like, so I reached a point where I was just binging on food every time I broke keto. And I was just yo-yo dieting like most people do. So I was like, this is not going to work for me. I need to find a more sustainable way to live where I can enjoy the good food and at the same time balance out my weight and my health and everything. And I was like, also creatively, I kind of got bored with keto because what is happening? See, YouTube is built for the algorithm. Like it's all about keeping the viewers engaged. So even in the keto diet space, if you wanted to really get the views or if you wanted to, get the video that people are interested in, you have to make the cakes, cookies, breads. Like these were the videos that were doing well. But if I did something that may have been more delicious, more tasty, but it's not a popular dish, like it wouldn't get the views. And also at that time, I didn't realize this, but most people who were watching my channel were only watching it when they were on the keto diet. So like they would start keto, they would come to the channel, they'd watch videos, and the moment they stopped doing the keto diet, they would stop watching. So all this kind of got me also frustrated with making those videos. Like I don't want to keep making the keto bread and the keto cake. So I was like, I'll start a new channel and I started my Headbanger Eats channel where I could do non-keto content. Also, by this time, I had tried the carnivore diet. I done my intermittent fasting, and I was like, I also want to try all these different diets and things like that. And that's not going to be keto, so I'll put that on a separate channel. So I was kind of in that space of like, I want to be a cool YouTuber, so I want to try this like military diet and this potato diet and all these other things that are there. So I made that separate channel and I made the announcement that, look, guys, I'm not going to be on keto, but I'll keep posting keto videos here for you. And I started a new channel. And that was actually like it got a lot of people because I think what happens is a lot of people then become very dogmatic about their diets. They like, this is my full identity, and you have betrayed me, and I trusted you. You were my keto guru, and how can you leave the diet? I'm like, I mean, I never said I was the keto guru. You know, the thing is, for me, it was always like I realized that not everyone is going to like gel with the keto diet. Like everyone's individual needs are what will determine which diet works for them in the long run. Like I said, some people eat to live, some live to eat. some people are vegetarian, some people are vegan, some people are carnivore. Everyone has their own sort of path that they follow and what makes sense for them. Some people are gluten intolerant, somebody else can't eat broccoli, somebody else feels icky eating a piece of beef. I don't know. So I was just like, I separated the things and I was like, this keto was not sustainable for me. And I felt that I needed something that I could do long term, which would not be a diet, which would be more of a lifestyle. So that's in a nutshell why I kind of quit keto.
Very interesting, Sahil. So, your viewers, how was their feedback? Were they able to sustain keto for longer times, or even keto is something which people just do for a particular goal and then maybe they just figure out how to manage food and weight?
I yeah, I think so. The thing is, keto became a trending diet essentially, like with a lot of diets. And I think most people in like at least from my audience over there, they 90% of them did not stick to their diet. So they all like everyone comes into this keto with like full like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. And they lose that whatever 5, 10, 15 kilos, whatever it is they're doing, and then they're like, okay, great, I've lost the weight, great. Now I'll eat normal food
Yeah.
or whatever. I'll go back to my, I want my roti or my rice or whatever it is. And a lot of them tend to sort of do the yo-yo dieting, which is what I did. You lose that weight and then you gain it all back because you've gone back to something that's, got you here in the first place. And I had a lot of those people, and then they'll try keto the second time. So they'll come back to the channel. Okay, I spoilt my diet during the holidays, or last 6 months I gained all the weight back that I lost. So now I'm going to try keto for a second time. And as we've seen, or as I've seen over the years, is every time you stop and start the diet, reset, the efficiency is lost. So, like the first time, you'll probably lose a lot more weight. The second time, the weight loss is less. Third time is even less. And your motivation also it keeps dropping each time. So your sort of strictness with which you follow the diet also changes. And I think that sort of happened with a lot of people. So they may have tried 2 or 3 times and then they just give up completely on it. Some people lost the weight and were able to keep it off. Like my accountant, he did the keto diet, he lost a whole bunch of weight. And then he went off keto, and for the last few years, he successfully stayed at his, like, he may have put on 1 or 2 kilos of what his weight at the end of keto was, water weight and things like that. But largely, after that, he changed his lifestyle, that he was able to maintain that weight that he lost. So, like I said, it's very individual, but I think more often than not, unless the diet that you're doing looks to be the lifestyle that you'll do till the day you die, you are going to fall off the wagon at some point.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, one of the challenges we find as nutritionists about Indian food is that they are too high in carbs, and, or rather, the other way to put it, will be too low in protein. So, what are some suggestions do you have on this regard for both vegetarians and non-vegetarians?
Yeah, my suggestion normally to people is just start eating everything. Because I'm such a food lover. So I'm like even now I have a food club and all. I'm like, guys, if you're food lovers, you should at least try everything. Eat chicken, mutton, beef, pork, whatever is available and legal to eat, just eat it. But I think um, like yeah, if you eat meat, it's not really a problem to get your protein in. I think when it comes to being vegetarian, again now in India we have this pure veg stuff where like I will not eat egg also. So I think in that case, like I think most people are just left with soya chunks as their sort of protein source.
Paneer and cheese is basically.
Yeah, paneer also, I mean, you have to now source out that high protein paneer and eat that because otherwise paneer is as much fat as it is protein. The tasty paneer is mostly fat. Like you go to Punjab, Sindh, and you buy his paneer, you can eat it like plain without anything. It's so good. So
Yes.
yeah, obviously you want to then sort of have like if you're having that much fat as well, that's a lot of calories. So you have to either get high, protein paneer, or you will have to try and find like a reduction of carbs or something to balance that out.
Right. And one thing that's been missing in our folks is meal prep, right? That's like an alien concept to our folks, like meal prep.
Yeah.
So, could you shed some light on this aspect? Like, how do we prepare our more meals, and like, how do we plan beforehand so that we can get a healthier meal?
Right. So I think that one thing that I think the reason meal prep and meal plan is very alien is also because in India there's a uh, without getting too much into the social and social aspect of it, we are a very patriarchal society where women are relegated to the kitchen. So most people are like, "Khana mil jayega ghar pe," like mummy is there to cook for free, wife is there, girlfriend is somebody is there to cook for you. So this idea of needing to prepare food in advance is something we don't understand. Like in the West, you don't have help. You don't if you want to cook food, you have to either cook it yourself or hire a company or go out and eat. There is no mummy sitting at home to cook for you. There is no wife who's your housewife who's going to sit and make all your meals for you. So we have that. That's the reason people don't really meal prep here. The other thing I think is also because there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of lack of scientific understanding about food and food safety, and people have these mental blocks. "Ki, I can't eat kal ka khana." It's like I want fresh food today. Like if it's not made, I'm throwing it in the fridge. I'm throwing it away in the kachra. So that all these attitudes which come from our cultural upbringing and all, those are actually barriers to meal prep. The thing is, if you've got somebody in the kitchen cooking every single meal for you, you don't need meal prep technically. You can just figure out what you want to eat and focus, like you said, on focus on the protein. The other stuff can fall into place. But for people who don't have that luxury, yeah, meal prep works out great because it's something you can do. And I think a lot of people are starting to do it now. But again, like I said, the barriers of like I want fresh food every day, or I want to eat different food every day, and somebody is there to cook it for me. That all kind of comes in the way of meal prep. But I think because we have, uh, like, I think dieting itself is like a privileged person's activity, so to speak. I think your average Indian who's working a blue collar job and traveling in the Mumbai local, their like diet is not even there. Like they're like, I need to make bread and butter. But people who have more uh, sort of a more privileged life, they think about this. Oh, I need to check my health. I need to check this and that. And then yeah, you get into meal plan. There are companies because of that. So these people can afford to pay companies. So you have your like food darzies and your
Right.
meal prep kitchens who will send you meals every day, which are macro counted, calorie counted, and all. So I think it will take some time. I don't think it's going to become like a thing every Indian does, and I don't think it's something you'll be able to convince them to do also. But I think you can definitely, the ones who are more health conscious will start to obviously do that.
So, what sort of meal prep do you do? Like, you have any tips which you can share with those who are interested?
Yeah, so when I meal prep, what I like to do is I like to just so I'm one of those people who, despite being a food lover and loves to eat food and lives to eat, I'm happy to eat the same lunch from Monday to Friday. So Sunday I will sit and I will cook my chicken, vegetables, and rice, and I will just portion it out, or I will weigh it out in a big container. So and by now I've got all the maths down any which way. I'll buy 500 grams of chicken. Every day will be 100 grams of chicken. Every day will be 100 grams of rice and 100 grams of vegetables. So I'll cook that much. I'll put it in a box. And every day when I'm eating my lunch, I'll weigh out my food. And if I need to travel somewhere or whatever, I can always put it in separate Tupperware containers. So I can just take the container out, microwave it, and I'm good to go. So
Right.
that's
So
generally, yeah.
essentially, variety is the enemy of eating healthy.
I mean, it makes it harder, but again, like today, because you have YouTube and all, you can find like a video for everything. So even if you're one of those people like, okay, I don't want to eat the exact same dish every day, there are so many YouTube videos where there are guys who show you like, okay, so on Sunday we will cook you this full chicken, which you will shred and you will make, and then you will do these other four things, and then you just vary it up with sauces and these things, and you essentially get a varied meal plan also. I think the amount of free resources available uh, are plenty. So everyone today can have that access to the information. So you don't have to hire a dietitian or a nutritionist to give you that meal plan. So money is not really a excuse anymore. Like you have all the
Even
yeah.
even Chat GPT does a fair job.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically taking your nutritionist info and giving it to your clients, potential clients for free.
Right.
Very interesting, Sahil. So You have more than 500 recipes under your belt. It is not a small feat. So, given all the experience in extensive cooking for over 2 decades, if someone was to come to you and ask you, Sahil, what are some of the key takeaways which I can incorporate from your experience in making my cooking healthier, whether it is ingredients, whether it is the preparation method, cooking method, even the utensils which can be used, different types of utensils. So, what do you think are some of the things people can take away from your experience?
Yeah. So what I would tell people is if they ask me for stuff is like, I think if you focus on protein as your main macro, so if you do that, you sort of know that you have a target of 20, 25 grams of protein per meal. That kind of sorts you out, you know. Um, you basically get that protein in, that's your satiating component of your meal. The fats and carbs will balance itself out, you know.
Right.
Kitchen scale is a must. Buy a kitchen scale. It's like under 500 rupees now. Keep it in your kitchen. Weigh out your food when you're eating. So you don't need to necessarily calorie count and log everything in an app. But if you do that for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks of your life, you spend calculating your calorie requirement and sort of weighing out your food, you'll be able to eyeball it after that. You know that, okay, I need so many grams of chicken a day. This is what, like, see, when we eat rice, we'll just put spoon pe spoon pe spoon. Now, that could be anything from 100 calories to 300 calories, depending on how much you actually put in. And till you actually weigh it out one day, and you're like, okay, this is how much I need. Now I can visually see that this is what 100 grams of rice looks like. This is what 200 grams looks like. Now I know. So then that knowledge allows you to balance that. Also, eat as much fruit and vegetable as possible. You know, I think just eating as much whole food as possible is great. Because I'm all about moderation. I'm like, you don't have to stop eating your favorite things. You want to eat an Oreo cookie, kha lo yaar. You live once. But the focus in your diet should be on getting in as much nutritious food first as possible. Then, if you've got stomach space and if you are feeling it, you can have your one Oreo cookie. It's fine. You know, I think is something I tell people, and I tell them don't stock your house with a lot of packaged food. Like if you go out and you buy a packet of cookies and eat it, fine. But don't like sit on Swiggy and order Oreos, chips, and then just keep it in the cupboard because if it's there, there's always that temptation today. And today we live in a world where the stimulus of food is there 24/7. Whether it's apps that deliver it in 5 minutes or it is content that you're consuming, even consuming keto content or what is called as healthy food content, it's still like each one of us who creates those videos, we are not trying to make the food look unappealing. We want the food to look appealing. So even if I don't watch anything other than keto videos, you're still seeing a lot of delicious looking keto food. So you're getting triggers to eat more any which way. So having any kind of packaged food in your house is best avoided, you know. So so if you have like an apple at home or an orange or a watermelon or cucumber, carrot. If you eat those things when you get these triggers, you'll at least get something nutritious in. You'll kind of fill up, you'll get your fiber requirements and all that. So I think those are the few takeaways. Protein, have a food scale, focus on whole foods as much as possible. And yeah, that should do the job.
Great. And anything specifically for vegetarians like your viewers? I'm sure there will be some vegetarians there as well. So, what do you think, vegetarians can do better to avoid
I
all
mean,
these problems?
my thing would be like chicken khao, paneer samajh ke kha jao from the old AIB joke. But I mean, look, I know. So the thing is like there are people uh, like I mean, there's only so much you can tell a vegetarian to do. Like for my first thing to most vegetarians used to be just don't do keto because you've already like vegetarians, vegans. I'm like, you've already eliminated most of the nutritious food in the world. Like your meat is gone. Fair enough. You for whatever reasons you want, whether it's your religion or your ethics or whatever moral compass that you think is there. Chalo. That aside, you've decided you don't want to eat or you don't even like the taste. Um, just eat everything and eat a variety of foods. Obviously, your protein sources are limited to eggs, paneer, soya chunks. include that in your diet. Um, there's some amount of protein in chickpeas, minor tofu, lentils. It's there for whatever it's worth. So try and eat balanced meals. Try and put the focus on protein as much as you can. So if you can't do 20, 25 grams every meal, at least try and do 15, you know. So again, it's the same thing. Just for 2 or 3 weeks, kind of make a plan for yourself, calculate, weigh out your food, and then you'll understand, "Ki, this is what my vegetarian plate looks like." Like I think soya chunks are in terms of bang for your buck. I think 100 grams of soya chunks have 50 grams of protein. So
Right.
you don't necessarily need to eat large amounts of soya, but like eating soya 2, 3 times a day in smaller quantities also, like 25 grams of 50 grams for each meal or every alternate meal, you will get some protein. So I think between eggs, high protein paneer, soya chunks, you can get your protein. Eggs also, 2 eggs, you'll get 12 grams of protein. And then because you're vegetarian, you can also look at things like high protein breads, which are, uh, you know, there in the market. But yeah, I think that's definitely something. If you're really, oh, protein powder, of course, 2 scoops every day, I guess you're done, finished.
Absolutely.
Is there anything from traditional Indian cooking that inspired you? Like, we have a lot of techniques of use of spices and fermented food and sprouting and all that stuff. So, is there anything from traditional cooking that inspired you or inspired your way of cooking?
Actually, no, because I have never been a fan of Indian food because of the spiciness of it. So in fact, I also, I guess, because of the way I was brought up or whatever, my palate is more uh, likes more Western food. So I like my sandwiches, my burgers, my pizzas, my steak. I love Chinese food, Thai food. Indian food is not as exciting for me. So I never really cared to cook Indian food, and I didn't even eat much Indian food growing up. Again, and even when I went out to eat in restaurants, it was always other cuisines because of the mirchi masala, which I did not enjoy. But because of my channel, I was getting musicians from foreign countries to come and be on my show, and I was going to interview them. That's kind of when I felt like, okay, I may not enjoy Indian food, but I definitely want to feed my guests Indian food because, like, if I have a drummer coming from Greece, I mean, sure, I can make an amazing burger, but let me give him some kebabs instead or a paneer paratha. That will be more unique and more fun. So that's when I started cooking Indian food, and that's when I started to enjoy the process of cooking Indian food. I started learning a lot more about it. Then one of the things I really like to do was like I did this series called Bacon Tadka, where I took classical Indian dishes and I started adding bacon to them. So for me, that was a creative way to cook more Indian food where I was really enjoying that process. So that's when I started picking up uh, obviously skills for Indian cooking. And then, as the keto thing started, I was like, I'd love to learn some Indian food. And that's again how I sort of did more and more Indian cooking. And more recently, last year, I started a series on my channel where I called Meat India. So I have a big uh, issue with vegetarianism in India, specifically because of the religious aspect, because I'm an atheist and I have a very serious dislike for religion, all religions, just so that nobody takes offense to any particular religion. But I generally dislike religion and I dislike the discrimination in India against meat eaters because of the religious aspect of vegetarianism. Like, we are the only country that uses a term like non-veg, which means not vegetarian. Like, why would you define 70% of a country by the dietary habits of 30%? So for me, that was a big trigger. And I was like, I want to do Indian food, but I want the world to see that India is not a vegetarian country. India has some of the most exciting and amazing meat dishes. So I started a series called Meat India, where I went from state to state cooking dishes of every state, the meat ones. And that's really when I got excited to learn more about local cuisine in each state, to see what all dishes we had. And like some of the recipes, yeah, were really eye-opening. So I picked up a lot of tips and tricks from those recipes. And even today, I'm going to continue the series on the new channel now. And I'm really excited to explore the food of the northeast part of India, find all the meat dishes in Rajasthan. I didn't even know that in Gujarat, 50% of people eat meat. But so obviously there is food I can find. Like people think, oh, Gujarat is just like a vegetarian place. No, there is meat in Gujarat also, and that's the beauty of India is that we have this diversity in our culinary sort of repertoire. So yeah, I've picked up from all these sort of series that I've done.
So, what are some common mistakes home cooks make, and what do you think can improve upon that? What do you think we can do to improve upon
Right. So I think I don't know if there's any particular mistakes. I think cooking is a skill, right? Like anything else. You want to learn to play a guitar, you have to start. You will make mistakes. You will sound terrible the first time you play a guitar. But as you sit every day and practice for 1 hour or 2 hours, you slowly get comfortable putting your hands on the strings, playing with the guitar plectrum. Cooking is the same thing. The first time you will feel awkward holding a frying pan. You will be a little scared of the gas, maybe. But the main thing is you start. Start with something that looks easy to you. Boil an egg, maybe. Then you make a scrambled egg, maybe omelette. Then you make yourself some aloo poha, maybe. Maybe then you make a piece of tandoori chicken on your frying pan. So with cooking, I think it's just don't be afraid to start. Just go for it, and constantly just learn and evolve. Like as you cook more, and the beauty is, of course, cooking. You eat 3 meals a day, so you have an opportunity to practice 3 times a day, which for anything else you'll probably be like, oh, I have to take out the time and do this and like. But cooking you can do anytime because you have to eat. So I think just practice makes perfect. Just get behind the stove and just start cooking.
if I have to add my input, what I feel Indian cooks are doing wrong is we are using a lot of spices and other external things to flavor the dishes rather than the raw ingredients or the protein itself.
So I won't say that's wrong necessarily. I mean, that is Indian food, right? Our our cuisine is developed like that. It's the spices, like, and that's what most people have grown up eating. So they don't enjoy the protein focused, So you have to sort of, I think, cook to suit your palate. Like for example, I started cooking because I did not like too much mirchi and masala, and my mother was like, no, no, I have to put one chili in the dal for your father, and I'm like, fine, then I'll make my own food. So I think if people like spices, it's great. It adds a lot of flavor. It's a different sort of it's your palate. Like you can do that. Like if you want to taste the protein, you use less of it. If you don't want to taste the protein, use more of it. There's nothing wrong with spices. It's just whatever you're going to do, try and understand what you're doing, understand why you're doing it, and keep tasting as you go. And then you'll sort of find something that works for you. Because how do people stick to their diet? How do people eat more protein? Is when it's palatable for them. Like if somebody is like used to eating mostly one piece of chicken, a lot of the gravy and the rice, and telling them to eat two boiled chicken breasts is not going to cut it. They're going to need that same chicken curry. What you'll do is tell them take 3 pieces of chicken, take one wing, take one leg, take one thigh, take as much gravy as you want, and take less rice and add some vegetable to your plate and make it a balanced meal and eat one orange later in the day. So I think every like person will need to customize it to their sort of lifestyle and their preferences. That's the only way they'll be able to maintain it long term, whatever it is they want to do.
Very interesting. So, every chef has some secret sauce or, some hack to elevate any simple dish to make it extraordinary. So, do you have anything? I know you experiment more with fusion and world cuisine, but what's your secret sauce or hack?
I think my secret sauce really is salt, man. Salt. The amount of salt you use is just kind of what hits that sweet spot of things. Because as a chef, every single dish is different, right? Like you can't apply one sort of trick to every single dish. I could say one thing I like to do a lot of is I like smoky food. So something like if I want to elevate a particular dish. In India, we do this thing at home where you take the coal and you put it on the stove, put it in the katori, put little ghee or whatever, and then cover the dish and let it smoke. So that's something like if you want to really like elevate what you're making, whether it's a vegetarian dish or whether it's a meat dish. A technique like that is something that can be used in a lot of different dishes. So I guess that would be one of the tips to really kind of uh, make an interesting dish or give it another level of flavor.
How about stuff like fermented drinks like kombucha? And I think there are some traditional Indian dishes also, but do you think there is a role of these fermented foods and drinks, kimchi stuff and all for improving our gut health and all that?
Yeah, look, the thing is, my belief is like till there is like a absolutely like flat out everybody says this is perfect for you and we have all the answers or whatever to something, it's all a lot of marketing. Like obviously, look, we know fermented foods are good for you, but now suddenly like this gut health has become like a trending word. Everything is like, oh, eat this for your gut health. 20 years ago you didn't even realize your gut health, your parents and all ate whatever. So obviously my thing is like just eat everything, eat a variety of foods, add kimchi to your diet. You like the taste of kombucha, drink the taste of kombucha, drink kombucha. You want to eat dahi, have dahi. You have probiotic Yakult, you like it, have some of that also. Just don't think that there is one magic pill to your to your problems in life. That's the thing. Like, don't add in something thinking it's like a magic pill. You know, like that. Oh, I'm going to now add in this kefir drink because suddenly my gut health is going to take a like a rocket. Your gut might be fine. Have you done the tests? Have you actually got conclusive evidence that something is wrong? And a lot of these products rely on that sort of placebo effect or that mental key. I'm doing this now, and suddenly I'll feel better. And that's the thing with a lot of stuff, right? Like people don't realize this. Now somebody will tell you in the morning you take lemon with apple cider vinegar and water, and people do these things and they don't take notice of all the other stuff they do in life as well, and they suddenly see something doing like happening to them and they're like, oh, it's because of this. But they don't realize that when they started doing this morning drink, they automatically made a conscious decision to eat healthier, to start going for a walk, and those are the things that are helping you. Actually, this was just the catalyst to kind of get you going. So then they start to make these correlations like, no, 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 apple cider, you have that in the morning and you will like magically drop fat or whatever. That doesn't work. So if you just have a balanced lifestyle and try and include all kinds of food, lots of different colors on your plate, you'll automatically get the benefits of all the food.
Right.
Great insight, yeah.
So we have like when we deal with a lot of diabetic patients and all those, generally we have to keep them on a very low carb or a low carb because we don't want the sugar to spike. And you have a lot of recipes in the direction of say cauliflower rice,
Yeah.
almond flour, a lot of stuff like that. So what is your how do you see this? Like, do you think they're as good as Indian normal food, or is there any tips you can do to add more flavor?
See, look, let's be honest. Like at the end of the day, a cauliflower is a cauliflower. It's not going to taste like basmati rice. Whatever you do, you can do all the things in the world to a cauliflower. It'll still taste like cauliflower rice. So I think if you have that mindset, ki I'm trying to make this taste like basmati rice, you are going to be unhappy at the end of the day. It's more to accept ki this is a substitute for rice that's going to work for my diabetes or whatever and keep my health in check. And if you look at it that way, then the best thing you want to work at is how to make it tasty so I enjoy eating it. That is how you want to look at it, you know.
Are there any personal favorite keto recipes you love, absolutely love? I mean, like desserts or something.
So I think I'm anyway more of a savory person. So for me, my keto bacon bomb is like one of my favorite recipes. That is like absolutely delicious. And there is this one chicken and mustard sauce which I make also, which I absolutely love.
Right. So you had this panna cotta recipe, I believe.
Yes. Yeah,
That was
yeah, yeah.
on the savory side. You have those stroganoff and all that. Those are very, very popular.
Yes, I do love my stroganoff recipe. Yeah.
Yeah. So which is your the most popular video, like most popular recipe?
I think the most popular recipe was I had this keto dosa or the naan. I think one of those was the most popular one. And then there was, I think the Keto for Beginners series was also one of the top viewed videos on the channel. In fact, I'm just going to check my channel. Ha, correct. My biggest, most viewed video is the Keto for Beginners episode one, 2.2 million views. And the second one at 2.1 million views is the best keto naan recipe.
Right.
Because I think
So,
a lot of people, Indians especially, want that bread, like roti and sabji ka uh, lunch. So
right.
which now, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the coconut flour is going to taste like coconut, but I think it works for people. Like they have that feel ki I'm getting to take my sabzi like this and put it in my mouth, and I feel like I'm eating normal food now.
Right. So, how does your kitchen setup look like? And if somebody is into healthy cooking, and what kind of stuff do you recommend, like air fryer, or what do you recommend?
Here's my thing. All these gadgets are gadgets. They are tools to do the job. You buy whatever fits in your kitchen. You buy whatever makes sense to you. There's nothing that the air fryer will magically do that your normal oven can't. I mean, yes, every sort of appliance has its own sort of features, but you can make good food with anything. You don't have to buy an air fryer if you don't want to. You don't have to buy an oven, but if you are doing a lot of baking, you may want to think of buying an oven. If you're someone who's just more comfortable with the stove or you have a small kitchen, one frying pan, one spatula, you can do your entire cooking on. There's no problem. It's about what is affordable to you, what kind of space you have, and what you want to get out of your food. Like I think there's no reason for someone to spend money on something they don't really need. I think at the end of the day, you can make do with what you have. Like all your cooking vessels are fine. The only thing you don't want to do is you don't want to use metal on your non-stick bus. That's the only thing I would say.
Amazing. So, Sahil, any other insight you want to share with our audience?
I mean, look, I one thing I always have said since the beginning of my channel, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a personal trainer. I'm just a normal person who likes to eat and who did the keto diet, and I read and read and read and kept reading. And I like to apply common sense to most things. That's been my sort of go-to with anything. And especially given the way the internet is now, the way the abundance of information is there, don't take anyone's word as the gospel because everybody has got their own reason for doing what they do. And what works for one person may not work for somebody else. You have to find what's best going to fit you. And if you have any health problems, do not go to the internet and try and diagnose yourself and treat yourself. Go to your doctor because your doctor will actually take responsibility for you. Like if you see every internet YouTube doctor has one nice big bold disclaimer at the bottom. This is for educational purposes only. Do not take this as medical advice because tomorrow if you die, they are not going to be responsible. They'll be like, we have written there, we're educational, you know. And I think it's important to just not like follow anyone with like these blinders on key this person is the gospel or whatever because people attach these identities to themselves, like every keto channel became keto this keto that, and then they're like we can't say anything other than keto, or like vegans who are like, oh, we are vegan, we have no deviation, or the carnivore guys now are like, oh, we cannot deviate, it's carnivore or nothing else. And the fact is every single diet has one guy who's got a study that shows that their diet is the best.
All right.
And like, I mean, if that was like, you can just see from the fact that every single diet has one guy or a woman or whatever who's like, Mera diet is the best. This is the correct way to live. All other ways are wrong. And at the end of the day, if everyone's got the answer, that means nobody really has the answer. So you just find what works for you and stick to that.
Right. So, do you get into creative blocks as far as cooking is concerned, or maybe even music is concerned?
Um, I think I've been fortunate that it's there's never been like a serious creative block. Yeah, there are days where I may have woken up and been like, I don't want to film this recipe or I don't want to film a video today. I'm not feeling the vibes of the video or whatever. And I'll take a day off and then in 2 days, I'll suddenly, oh, like everything's back. I think the thing is if because I don't have like very I have the sort of ability to not get stuck in that block, like it's like, oh, there's a guy breathing down my neck is like, I need the video at 6 p.m. today. I'm the boss, so that's the beauty of what I do is like I have to set my own deadlines. And I think for me, I've also been doing this long enough that I can come up with enough ideas to draw inspiration from.
Right. So, is there any chef or somebody who you look up to?
I mean, anyone and everyone who I've watched on YouTube through the years, whether it's Gordon Ramsay, Jamie Oliver, uh, the OG Vareva chef from vareva.com, if you guys remember him from the old days of YouTube, whether it's a Ranveer Brar for Indian recipes or a Sanjot from Your Food Lab. Like, I watch all the chefs and I always try and learn something from each of them because they all have their own style, their own recipes, and there's always something to learn. So
Right.
I would say one of my biggest sort of cooking inspirational shows is MasterChef Australia.
Right. So, there's another aspect I want to touch upon, food quality, right? Food quality in
Yeah.
India is not the best. So, how do you see this? Like,
See, honestly, I have given up. I am living in a city with the AQI that is killing me already. There are roads with enough potholes that I'm going to probably die from an auto rickshaw accident. Like there is potential for death and damage everywhere I go. So with food, I'm like, I mean, just eat what you have to eat. Like, mm, buy what you can afford. Um, if I like, if I want something, I'll just buy it and I'll get it. Like I try and find like the local guys here for my meats and stuff like that. But now you have a lot of online stuff and a lot of companies that are a lot more, I think, particular with their hygiene standards and the things that they do. So I like to order a lot from them. And but yeah, like I mean, at the end of the day, I have the privilege to buy from a nature's basket and all where things are imported. But the common man really doesn't have a choice. I mean, like they are eating from food stalls on the road where the hygiene is like it'll make someone like me sick, but they have built their immunity to that level where like they can just eat it. That's their khana. They can't afford the luxury of other stuff. So you do whatever you can within your budget. And I guess, like I said, if you eat a variety of things, if you develop a rapport with your bhaji wala or your fruit wala, they generally will give you whatever the best they know at least. Like they can't. I mean, if somebody's giving them something suspect, they unless they know about it, they won't be able to tell you. But I like to trust that most people's intentions are decent. They just want to make a living. So if you have a good relationship with all your local vendors, you will get the best produce from them.
you use a lot of interesting ingredients as well. I believe you use duck fat for some of your cooking.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you found interesting, like any interesting ingredient which you regularly incorporated in your cooking?
There's nothing particular because I don't actually, because I'm in the food space now, and even when I was doing more of the cooking videos, I have to keep cooking different things every week for videos and stuff. So for me, it's just like constantly trying to find new things and buying new ingredients and I travel abroad as well. So whenever I go abroad, I'll buy like all the different stock cubes and these different ready marinade paste and, lots of cuts of beef and steak and things like that. So I try and get as much stuff as I can, and then I just use it over a period of time.
Right. So I think we have uh, we have a audience question. The question is, I'm a diabetic. Yeah, she's under my guidance. I was a vegan for 6 years, but eventually I stopped work. It stopped working for me. Now I'm doing a keto. Okay, keto. Beginning was hard, I guess. Now I'm okay. Beginning was great. Medicines have become less. Will keto work for me? And that is, what is your opinion? Can diet be long lasting and be done forever? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I've
question
said
for
this to
you, but yeah.
I mean, I've told people this. Can you envision yourself eating the keto diet till the day you die? If you look at it and say, yeah, I can do this for the rest of my life, it's easy, then that's your answer.
Yeah, but if you're a diabetic, I guess you are left with very little choices.
I mean, if you're diabetic, always talk to your doctor and personal trainers who take responsibility. I'm just a guy on the internet with an opinion. So take my opinion with a pinch of salt.
Right. Uh, yeah. So, is there any kind of cuisine like which you haven't quite mastered and you really want to do it?
I mean, I would love to do a lot more Chinese cooking. I think it's because I don't have a like a that one of those burners which is like super high flame and one of those lovely woks. But I would love to someday have a kitchen where I can have that like sort of high flame wok setup and do a lot more wok cooking. I do have a wok and I do have a decent stove also, but that vibe is not the same. But I'd love to, yeah, explore more of Chinese cooking, like authentic Chinese cooking.
So, eggs are super nutritious and they are so versatile. And from a cooking perspective, what options do you have? People often ask me, I can make a burji, I can make an omelette. What else?
I mean, the world is your oyster. Like there are so many Japanese egg dishes that you can make. There are all these Middle Eastern dishes. So that's something I love to do. Is like constantly play around with eggs. So you've got like the Turkish chilbir, you've got the Turkish menemen, you have the North African shakshuka, you've got souffle, French. You got French style omelette. You got desi style omelets. You can make frittatas. You can make different kinds of scrambled eggs. You can make egg pizzas also. So yeah, their eggs are really versatile, and you can pretty much do a lot of things with them. And I have a whole bunch of recipes on headbangerskitchen.com. You just type in egg, and it'll give you all the videos which have egg in it in the ingredients, and you can just make whatever you like.
Right. And what are your thoughts? Like, do you use so-called healthy foods like microgreens and avocados and all these kind of so-called superfoods are very healthy, supposed to be very healthy food. Do
Right.
you incorporate them in your cooking?
Yeah, so like I said, I eat everything. I'm a foodie. I eat everything, but I don't eat them because they've got a label. For me, this is all food. The healthy comes from the entire sort of collection of what you eat in a day or what you eat in a week or a month. It's not one food. The superfood is a marketing thing, you know. And I mean, I guess the laws or regulations are very lax when it comes to that. Anything can be immunity boosting. The biggest like nonsense detox immunity boosting. I mean, if you've done your basic science also, you know that कि ऐसा नहीं होता है. Like immunity is only boosted through a vaccination or through your entire lifestyle over years and years and years. You can't just eat one pill or have one drink and suddenly your immunity is going to rise up. Like just eat a good balanced diet, and you will be fine. Exercise regularly, go and get your blood work done every year or 2 years or whatever. Meet with your doctor, show them your blood work, and you should be okay.
How much do you think food is behind this whole what I call metabolic catastrophe that is happening in our country?
I mean, look, obviously food is a part of it, uh, but it's a lot of just, I guess, life has changed, right? Like the reason things have changed is not because the food has necessarily gotten worse or anything. It's that our lifestyles have changed. People have become more sedentary. There's more access to food. Everything is like in excess now. So it's more than anything, it's overconsumption. Essentially, it boils down to the overconsumption of anything is bad for you. Whether you sit and stare at your screen for 8 hours a day, whether you're sitting and eating 5 times a day because you go from one meeting, somebody's put biscuits on the table there, then you come out, somebody ka birthday hai, to cake aa gaya hai. And like all these different things happening. You're eating 5, 6, 7 times a day. You're watching content, and you might be full, but you see the pizza in your feed, and you're like, "Arey, I feel like a pizza." And then immediately you have to just Zomato, and it's there, right? It's not like earlier you had to make an effort to do anything. You had to go out, get your pizza, or you had to actually call and be like, "Hello, can I order a pizza?" And then the delivery will come. And now everything is just snap, 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 snap. So, you know, I think it's a combination of everything, and it's not just India. Obviously India has a larger population, so obviously if 2% of Indians are metabolically, in a bad space, that's a lot more than 2% of say Norway or of Sweden. Our sheer volume is a lot.
So, Sahil, what keeps you going? It's been like 2 decades you've been pursuing music and food. So, what keeps you going in these areas?
I think for me, it's like I just set my life on this path, and I don't really know what else to do because I kind of dropped out of college to pursue my musical dream, and I pretty much had like the most basic day job to kind of allow me to focus on the music. And then in like sort of 2015, 2016 is when the channel took off. That just became my lifestyle. Like that became my job. And I was able to quit the day job that I had, and I was being able to do something creative and make a living. And now I'm like, I don't really know how to do anything else. This is what I enjoyed doing for so many years. So I want to keep doing it. So, I have deviated a bit from the cooking to more of food blogging now. So a lot of restaurant food and a lot of reviewing restaurants. And I have a food club that meets for like meals and we share food and all that. So I'm doing more of that, but it's still in the same creative space. And I think, yeah, I just like someone who likes to go with the flow and not sort of uh, do like a day job now that I can, not do it. So yeah,
When are you starting your own restaurant?
that's one thing I don't think I will probably do unless somebody comes to me with like lakhs and crores of rupees and says, do what you want. I don't care if the business doesn't make money because the restaurant business sort of I feel is like it most restaurants are there to cater to the masses and I'm more creative. So I would be like frying my French fries in beef fat. Like I would not have any vegetarian dishes on my menu. I'd be like doing things that are totally like not the norm for most restaurants. So I feel I would not be a good business decision for anyone who wants to make money. So that's probably why I'll never get into the restaurant business.
We are living in strange times. We never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, somebody wants to convert all their black money into white money. It's like, Sahil, hello. Let's start.
Right. So, I think we are done with the questions. We have a couple of people. Anyone wants to directly ask any question to Sahil, please unmute your mic. Anything else, Dave, from your side?
No, I'm all good.
So, Sahil, it was a wonderful session. Thanks for sharing so many insights, so many healthy insights about your culinary journey. And I'm sure the audience will love watching this and gain a lot of knowledge from this. So, uh, with that, we want to thank you for your time for coming on or on the Healthy X Sundays podcast. Thank you so much, Sahil.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And sorry again for being late.
That's okay. No worries. All right, then. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Yeah.
Take
Bye,
care.
guys. Oh, hands up.
Keep
Bye.
rocking.